The Supreme Court decided 90 years ago that Congress has the power to limit the reasons for which the president can remove the head of an independent agency. Hi, I'm Catherine. The Supreme Court is hearing an important case on presidential power today. Here's what you need to know. The Supreme Court will decide whether President Trump has unlimited power to fire members of the Federal Trade Commission without cause. So Rebecca Slaughter was a member of the Federal Trade Commission. If you've been watching the news about this case, one thing you might hear a lot about is a case that the Supreme Court decided 90 years ago. It's called Humphrey's Executor. And in that case, the court issued a decision saying that Congress can limit the president's ability to fire members of the Federal Trade Commission. And that precedent and others like it have really been the foundation on which much of our modern system of governance rests. And when Congress created the FTC more than a century ago, it wrote into the law that the president can't remove FTC commissioners except for certain limited causes. President Trump thinks that that law is unconstitutional. He fired Rebecca Slaughter without giving any of the reasons that Congress wrote into the statute. The FTC itself has the job of protecting consumers from unfair competition, but it's just one of dozens of independent agencies that Congress has created to perform functions that Congress thought really require a degree of expertise and impartiality. So independent agencies do things like regulating railroads and airline safety and adjusting interest rates. All of those jobs require insulation from political pressures. They require stable, consistent leadership. And that's why Congress designed them to be independent and bipartisan. I think it's important for the public to understand what's at stake in this case. Our country's founders put together a system of checks and balances because they understood that allowing any one branch to accumulate too much power would be a threat to democracy and individual liberties. But if the Supreme Court sides with President Trump, then it would mean that the president can fire not necessarily just Rebecca Slaughter, but potentially many other agency heads without any of the reasons that Congress gave, or really without any reason at all. It would effectively allow the president to continue accumulating power in the White House while limiting the ability of Congress and the courts to rein the president in. Check out our People's Guide to the Supreme Court for a breakdown of the cases this year so you'll know what's at stake.